with the exception provided by the President of the United States to America, which allows for the use of Russian gas and oil here in Hungary, jointly contribute to the fact that Hungary can continue to remain secure on the aspects of energy supply, and that we shall be able to supply households and the industry with cheap energy in an international comparison.
We are entering this golden era of relations between our countries, and not simply because of the alignment of our people, but because of the relationship that you have with the President of the United States. I don't think, it is any mystery, and should not be a mystery to anyone here, how the President feels about you, how he interacted with you in his first term as president, and now in his second term as president. That relationship's grown even closer. And it's important to understand how important the relations between leaders are to the relations between countries.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Monday enthusiastically endorsed Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán's bid to serve a fifth straight term after upcoming elections in April, emphasizing during a visit to Budapest the strong personal relationship between the nationalist leader and U.S. President Donald Trump. Orbán, who has led Hungary since 2010, is one of Trump's most vocal supporters in the European Union and has actively curried the U.S. president's favor leading up to the April 12th vote, in which he will face the toughest challenge of his last 16 years in power. Rubio was in the Hungarian capital for meetings with Orbán and his government, where he signed an agreement on U.S.-Hungarian civilian nuclear cooperation that includes the possible purchase of compact nuclear reactors, known as small modular reactors or SMRs, as well as U.S.-supplied nuclear fuel and spent fuel storage technology.
And these agreements with the exception provided by the President of the United States to America, which allows for the use of Russian gas and oil here in Hungary, jointly contribute to the fact that Hungary can continue to remain secure on the aspects of energy supply, and that we shall be able to supply households and the industry with cheap energy in an international comparison. And we also discussed the refinery in Serbia, how that can be purchased, how NIS can be purchased by MOL, the Hungarian oil company. As for me, I assured Secretary of State Mr. Rubio that Hungary continues to support, regardless of what European conflicts that brings about. So Hungary shall continue to support the efforts of peace of the U.S. in Ukraine. The current President of the United States did the most in international politics in order to ensure peace in the Russian-Ukrainian war. And I must reiterate, although everybody knows that if Donald Trump had been the President of the United States, this war would never have broken out. And if he were not the President now, then we would not even stand a chance to put an end to the war with peace. So thanks goes to the United States President for his efforts in favor of peace. Hungary remains ready that if there is a peace summit, that we provide a venue for that here in Budapest. And I assured Mr. Rubio that Mr. Trump has a live invitation to Hungary. Thank you very much.
The relationship, you talked about the golden age, which is not an exaggeration. The relationship between the United States and Hungary today is as close as I can possibly imagine it being. And it's not just close rhetorically, it's close in action and things that are actually happening. And I think some evidence of that is here today in the agreement that we've just signed that builds on a historic meeting that we had in November at the White House that you had with the President, and that I happened to have the honor to be present and be a part of it. The signed agreement we've had today is one that we hope will be many in the years to come, that areas of collaboration. You spoke about the 17 investments. To those who think that Hungary's being isolated, that's an example of the fact that that's not the case, that under the Prime Minister's leadership, in fact, there is a growing number of American companies, as evidenced by the 17 that have already arrived, who want to invest in your economy and want to be a part of what's happening here and are excited about it because you have strong leadership. because you have leadership that we know are going to protect investments and allow it to continue to be a place that's friendly for business and be competitive with rules that are competitive that allow businesses to grow and prosper in comparison to other places. And there's so many other areas that we can work together on, especially on energy, but just so many areas of common interest. But I have to say this because it's important to understand. We are entering this golden era of relations between our countries, and not simply because of the alignment of our people, but because of the relationship that you have with the President of the United States. I don't think, it is any mystery, and should not be a mystery to anyone here, how the President feels about you, how he interacted with you in his first term as President, and now in his second term as President. That relationship's grown even closer. And it's important to understand how important the relations between leaders are to the relations between countries. We are, at the end of the day, we are still human, we are still people, and that person-to-person connection that you've established with the President has made all the difference in the world in building this relationship and in hopefully growing this relationship even more. It is the kind of thing that I think, for example, I can say to you with confidence that President Trump is deeply committed to your success, because your success is our success. Because this relationship we have here in Central Europe through you is so essential and vital for our national interests in the years to come. That, if you face financial struggles, if you face things that are impediments to growth, if you face things that threaten the stability of your country, I know that President Trump will be very interested because of your relationship with him and because of this importance to this country, to us, to finding ways to provide assistance if that moment ever were to arise, and obviously with regards to finances and the like. I also think it's the reason why in your visit in November you saw an extension and a suspension of the imposition of sanctions and allowed to move forward on energy. It was because of that personal relationship. It's because we want you to continue, because we want this economy to prosper, we want this country to do well. It's in our national interest. Especially as long as you're the Prime Minister and the leader of this country, it's in our national interest that Hungary be successful. It helps America, and obviously it helps you. So it's an honor to be with you here today. We have a lot that we can continue to work on. We also want to thank you, and I want to thank you on behalf of the President of the United States for the indispensable role you played on the Board of Peace. Not everyone's on the Board of Peace, and not everyone, for different reasons, they can be participants or not be participants, but you are, and you've been there from the very first day. And again, a testament to the personal relationship between President Trump and Prime Minister Orbán that I think speaks volumes. The role you play geopolitically, the role you play even outside of this region in affairs involving the Middle East is invaluable and indispensable, and we are very appreciative of it. And that's why after traveling to Munich for the security conference, I wanted to make sure we paid a visit here to continue to build on this relationship and to signal very clearly that not only are we in a golden age, but we haven't even scratched the surface of what we can achieve together as a people, as peoples, as nations, and as leaders. And so I thank you for the opportunity to be with all of you here today, and thank you for the very warm invitation and the very important conversations that we had, where we touched on a bunch of subjects and a bunch of topics that I think will be of great interest back in Washington when I return. Thank you.